I found out my husband of 23 years has been having an affair. We've been together for 23 years. We'd been dating since high school, and I assumed everything was okay. We have one kid who will turn 19 the next week. We were talking about retirement plans and reducing our house for when our son leaves. The problems started 2 years ago when he met his buddy, who I now know is his affair partner. He would drop everything to go aid him during the previous year or so. He would cancel dates or arrangements with me in order to spend time with him. On occasion, he would even bring him along with us on date evenings. This buddy had a frigid demeanor toward me. I had no idea why. When I brought it up with my husband, he simply dismissed it or told me that the friend was shy or that he didn't mean it. So, like an idiot, I trusted him. God, I'm such a things, simply clicked for me after I wrote the post. As a result, I approached him. I questioned him why he kept canceling our arrangements to go see the buddy if he was doing it on purpose, and he agreed. So I questioned whether there was anything more between them than friendship, and that's when he dropped the bomb. They've been in a romantic relationship for more than a year. I couldn't decide whether to weep or vomit. He informed me he feels he is and is perplexed. He claimed he loves me, but he also loves him, and it is at a loss for what to do. I informed him that his uncertainty about his was no justification for cheating and gave him till yesterday night to leave the home. I spent the night before with my sister. I informed her he cheated on me and that I was leaving him, but that's all she knows. Tomorrow afternoon, I'll meet with a divorce lawyer. Since he acknowledged to the affair and I left, my husband has been blowing up my phone. He begs me to take him back. He told me he was going to cease his romance with his pal. He's been sobbing and pleading with me not to forsake him, but I can't bring myself to speak to him. My son came to my sister's after work, and I simply informed him that his father and I were divorcing, and that he confessed to having an affair. My kid inquired about the affair partner, and I told him that he should speak with his father if he wanted more information. As much as I despise that guy right now, I do not believe it is my place to reveal his orientation. And God, I despise this too right now. My son departed and supposedly got into a big argument with his father, telling him he was dead to him. I returned home this morning and became physically ill as soon as I parked into the driveway. My abode is a house of deception. I am the world's greatest blunder. I'm a walking farce. He left me a letter by the coffee pot every morning, telling me I was the love of his life, and that nothing or no one could ever alter that, and all I could do was weep. I've wept so much in the past 24 hours that I don't believe I have any more tears. I'm at a loss for what to do or where to go. I'd rather be anywhere except here. Is what I'm doing correct? Am I being too dramatic? Is it possible to forgive him and go on? Or will he merely do it again, this time more sneakily? Do I want to live the rest of my life wondering about if he'll cheat on me with another buddy or a stranger? I'm at a loss on what to do. He was my pillar of strength. He was my closest companion. At moments like these, I would turn to him for comfort, yet he is the source of my anguish, and I'm at a loss for what to do. Story 2. Boyfriend broke up with me and doesn't want to explain why. I, female 21, was with my boyfriend, male 21, for a year and a half. Everything seemed to be going swimmingly at first. In August, he lied to me about his ex-acquaintance, girlfriends, female 18. I've forgiven him when he apologized. Later in September, we experienced a difficulty, but it wasn't related to her. It was about the fact that we weren't communicating with one another about what was wrong and what was upset us. Because of a lack of communication, everything erupted into a massive brawl. But after much deliberation, we decided to try again on new conditions. That means no lying and constantly stating what is wrong in order to prevent burying it. I recently observed that he was behaving strangely. He was concealing his phone and deleting texts and phone calls. I didn't listen in on his chats, but he mentioned erasing himself. I was worried because I wanted to find out what he was concealing. When I questioned him, he stated it was nothing, but it wasn't a satisfactory explanation for me. So I asked him again yesterday. I didn't want to cause a quarrel, but I didn't want to be sure he wasn't lying again. He was irritated because I just wanted to know what was going on. He admitted that he lied about her again, but that this time it was my fault. When I questioned him why he couldn't simply tell me, he replied he didn't want to get into a fight. I told him I wouldn't mind if he simply informed me that there wouldn't be any fights and we could just speak about it. I begged him to be honest with me in the future, but he stated it is better for him to conceal things, and he would most likely continue to do so. I became enraged because I don't see why he wants to base our relationship on falsehoods. This is not the way a healthy relationship should be. I attempted to tell him that and ask if he could not do it again, but he stated he had had enough and ended our relationship. I contacted him in the evening to discuss it, but he refused to explain anything to me. He said that he is stressed because of me. I don't get it since he has been telling me since our conversation in September that he is happier than ever, that everything between us is wonderful, and that he loves and cares about me. So, if he was really stressed, why did he tell me? Why didn't I see I was doing anything wrong? I'm not a medium, and I don't read people's thoughts. I won't alter anything if I don't know why I should. I told him that and asked him what was bothering him, but he didn't say anything. He said that this is the end of the conversation and that he will return to pick up his belongings on Tuesday. I'm really furious because we had a rule that we had to speak about difficulties as soon as they arose in order to prevent a scenario like the one we had previously. I'm not sure why he didn't tell me he was feeling that way. Instead, he continued telling me how pleased he is and how much he values me. He even expressed it on Monday, 2 days before the split. I'm heartbroken, weeping, and unable to eat anything. I adore him and don't want to lose him. I believe he ended the relationship due to emotional reasons, and he may come to regret it later. I want him to realize that we can get through this. I decided not to contact him until Tuesday to allow him time to consider the matter. I'll observe his demeanor when he arrives. My issue is, what can I do to get him to see how strange this circumstance is and that we can still make it work if we follow to our standards and stop lying about the problems? Do you think there's a possibility he'll reconsider and agree to try again if we chat when he comes over? So, what should I do next? Story 3. I, 23 male, made 2 mistakes early on with GF 23 female, and I want to come clean. So I've been seeing this lady for a little over 2 years now, and everything has been going swimmingly. We met in college and have now moved on to adulthood. We've spoken about marriage and starting a family. I am certain she is the one I want to end up with, and she is certain I am the one she wants to end up with. However, since this is my first formal relationship, I've made some rookie errors that I'd want to correct. I have 2 skeletons in the closet that I want to clean from my mind and speak up to her about, but I'm afraid of ruining our relationship due to my immature and stupid judgments in the past. Skeleton #1. Before we got physical. She was a virgin I had once before. She wanted to know how I lost my virginity. I lost it 3 years ago after a drunken one-night encounter, a dreadful incident that I try to forget and am simply embarrassed of. So we spoke, and I told her a little bit about it. It was the first time I'd ever been open about it with anybody. When she inquired about protection, she took me off guard, and I said, of course. The issue is that I lied back then. What really occurred was that I got whiskey because I was so intoxicated, attempted intercourse with condoms earlier in the night, then woke up early in the morning and had unprotected, pulling out at the end. I didn't understand how foolish I was until much later, and I was embarrassed about the entire thing, so I panicked and told a white lie. I had intercourse with a clean female who did not get pregnant, and I had had no STDs worries since. I felt horrible for lying about that detail, but I resisted telling her about the change because I was embarrassed that I had done something so dumb. Skeleton #2. A few months later, it was my final night at my college residence with all of my buddies, and we were all hanging out together. We were partying, and I was very inebriated when I walked in on my pals using coke in our house's back room. Now, some of my friends had used cocaine previously, and I was aware of it, but I had never felt compelled to indulge and give a shot. I'd only smoked pot once in my life and was otherwise entirely clean. I knew I wasn't interested in it. But for whatever reason, the rush of emotion that came with leaving college and losing out on a lot of enjoyable moments, COVID ruined most plans that year, compelled me to try a line. I didn't end up having a lot of effects, but I did have some. I awoke the following morning feeling guilty, since I knew it didn't align with my principles and I didn't want to be affiliated with it. I ultimately got over it and accepted it, but she still doesn't know what occurred that night. She never asked, but I still feel bad that I didn't tell her. I genuinely want to be honest in our relationship since she means everything to me. It's been a while since those events occurred, and I've kept both of them in the closet to get away from them. But I've become so close to her recently, and she's the first person I've ever felt really honest with in my life. So I've wanted to speak to her about both of those difficulties, but I'm afraid that informing her would make her feel as if she can never trust me. I think there's a slight possibility she finds out about any of them, but that's not how I want to go about it. I've grown a lot in the previous year, and if I had grasped the actual value of trust in a relationship, I would have resolved those difficulties sooner. So I decided to tell her, even if it means breaking both of our hearts. But how can I go about doing so and requesting forgiveness? What should I say to reassure her that I'm not keeping anything else from her? As far as I know, I've only ever spoken the truth. How can I demonstrate that I'm all in with her, and that she is more important than whatever fears I had early in our relationship?